Today I will be going over Chapter 16, Plant Reproduction, for our review. It starts out with this piece about how bananas have been bred to no longer grow from seeds, but from plants that grow out of the adult plant. And that would very definitely limit your variation in your bananas. I have a similar situation at my house where I have small plants growing out of my blueberry bushes. So let me show you that. As you can see, between this blueberry bush and this blueberry bush, I have kind of an opening here, so I want to plant another blueberry bush there. And according to the book, these are what we call suckers. They're stems that are growing out of the roots. So I'm going to take my sharpshooter here, and I'm going to dig it up. Okay, now I'm going to take that and I'm going to plant it where I want it. And I want it right here. Let's make a hole there. You may say, why are you using a pickaxe? It's not that hard. But who wouldn't want to use a pickaxe? I'm now going to put some water on that, and I'm just going to watch it for the next few weeks and see what happens. Asexual reproduction, or what could be called mitosis, is one way a species can reproduce. As you can see from the book's definition, the offspring will be genetically identical to the parent. Now, one advantage here for the plant is it does not require another organism of the same species in order to continue the survival of that species. But one disadvantage is that since the organism has very little genetic variation, a large number of the species can be wiped out with just a single disease. Here we see a diagram showing the steps of mitosis, and the important thing to remember that in cellular mitosis, the two daughter cells are simply copies of the parent cell. In the next section of the text, we learn that in sexual reproduction, parent organisms make gametes, which must then fuse to another gamete to make the new organism. This joining of the two gametes is called fertilization, and the new cell which is formed by that fertilization is called a zygote. The zygote will then divide again and again and eventually grow into a new organism. Creating a gamete requires the organism to half its chromosome count. In this particular diagram on meiosis, the text shows the chromosome count in humans at 46 and how that changes from 46 down to 23 in the sex cells, the gametes, and then goes back up to 46 when the gametes fuse, and that creates the zygote. In many flowering plants, reproduction can be done either asexually or sexually. The function of a flower is to make the gametes, so that would be sexual reproduction. Here are the parts of a flower, which you need to memorize, and memorize their functions as well. Pay attention to the anther and the stigma, because pollination is when the pollen, which contains the male gamete, travels from the anther to the stigma, which is at the top of the tube coming from the ovary, and that's where the female gametes are, down in the ovary. The book provides you two images of pollen. The first one here is grass pollen. This is a microscopic picture at 35,000 magnification. There's no way that any microscope we have will get anywhere near that. The next pollen they show is a daisy pollen, and this one is still at 800 magnification, which is still over my limit. But I did get out our digital microscope, and I did start looking for myself at what I do have around the house. All right, so I got some pollen from a little fleabane plant, and those little round circles, that is pollen. Let's go a little higher in magnification. Oh, look at that. Each one of those little pieces of pollen that looked smooth is not smooth. It's got those little spiky edges on it. That's probably why it irritates our nose and eye. That might be it right there. Yeah, that's it right there. That's the pollen from that. Now let's go in closer. That may be it right there. Yeah, that does look like it. When you go in and out of focus, you can see it has little feathery projections, maybe? See if we can see any others. This one looks better here. It's fairly large. Alrighty, let's see what we can find here. Oh, that is not, that is a bug that was on that flower. Huh. Anyway, I need the pollen. That's it right there. Very similar. Now let's take it up another notch on magnification, if we can. And there it is. So pollen has very similar characteristics from one flower to another. Since the pollen is so small, moving the pollen from the anther to the stigma can be done in many different ways. Wind, water, gravity, and pollinators. And at my house, there are plenty of pollinators.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above and a thing called love. Let me tell you about the stars in the sky and a girl and a guy and the way they could kiss on a night like this. When I look into your big brown eyes.
Several years back, we had a bee swarm come to our school right outside my door, and I was able to get these pictures of it, getting fairly close to where you can see there are a lot of bees there. We called the local beekeeper to please come and get this swarm and take it, and he brought this particular box to do that with, and I wanted to know more about it.
And a thing called love. Yeah! When I look into your big brown eyes.
I'm going to go interview a person who does this, who catches bee swarms and who raises honeybees. We'll see about it on our next video.
Facts of life, starting